What we saw from the opening weekend in the Bundesliga, Julien and Stevie Nicol with me. Jules, you look at it and a lot of people were sceptical about the return, and this is people in Germany saying that they wouldn't watch. Well, the statistics have shown that it was watched in record numbers.
Yes, it was. I guess maybe it was too hard to resist, even if you didn't really like the new product, the new football, which is a football without fans and all the conditions that we've explained all week before we actually started again this weekend. Maybe it was too hard to resist, and everybody wanted to see what it was like, and just to see some live football, proper live football. And I think, of course, it was never going to be the level that we had before, especially without fans and after 2 months without playing. And of course, it will get better. I just don't think you can be too choosy right now. And I think this was better than nothing, in my opinion. It was still better than a lot of what I expected before the weekend, even if physically and technically and even tactically there's a lot of things to improve. But at least football was back. And I think just that in itself makes it a great weekend for me.
Stevie, it was interesting. I was watching your hit yesterday on YouTube, and you were talking about the fact that it was a bit weird to start with, but once the match kicked off, you were very much into it.
Yeah, because I like watching football. Anybody who said they weren't going to watch it they were kidding themselves and everybody else on. If you're a football fan, you can't walk past a park with kids playing on it without actually stopping and watching it. So I'm not surprised at all that there were people watching it on the TV, because apart from anything else, there's nothing else to do anyway. So I enjoyed it, I must admit, and I certainly enjoyed watching Borussia. I'd been talking earlier about how it's harder to be a forward player. It's harder to link play going forward because it has to be more accurate. It's a lot harder than it is to defend. But I'll tell you what, Borussia Dortmund right out the gate, they didn't waste any time. They were fantastic from the first to the last. Good combination play, scoring goals, making chances. So I thought Borussia were fantastic and easily the best looking side in the Bundesliga this weekend.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it, Jules? It was the perfect start. Borussia Dortmund setting the bar high, and I think it's fair, as Stevie said, they looked like the team who hadn't been on a break less than any of them.
Yes, that's right. And I also wonder how much the game that they already had behind closed doors against PSG in the Champions League, even if that was 2 months ago, played a part in this. Because clearly I thought from the beginning, unlike the Schalke players who looked a bit lost on the pitch, not really exactly knowing what to do, the Borussia Dortmund players, even with the change tactically just before they started with Giovanni Reyna, now started the game, and Hazard coming in, they knew exactly what they were doing. Maybe the whole environment, because it was not new to them, maybe it was not as disturbing as it was for the Schalke player or the other teams and other players that we saw through the weekend in the Bundesliga. And maybe that's why they were so much quicker to get into the game. And we saw then after that the talent, like Stevie said, talked, and Julien was fantastic, and Haaland scored again, and all of that. But maybe the fact that they knew that kind of environment before, even if it was just one game, that could be a big difference when you get to this kind of context and everything around you if you're a player.
Somehow you get PSG into this
always
segment. Right, I'm going to talk to you about Werder Bremen against Bayer Leverkusen, the one remaining match that, of course, taking place on the Monday in Germany. Just give us a quick preview looking ahead to that, Jules.
Well, the game, Werder Bremen, especially second from bottom, who are fighting against relegation. And like we've been saying, it's probably easier to defend than to attack. But the problem for teams, and we saw that with Union Berlin against Bayern Munich as well, who are quite physical, who don't really play the sort of pass and move style of football. For them, because fitness-wise, they don't have the ability anymore to do that because they haven't played for so long and have hardly really trained properly. I think it's harder for them to develop the usual game. I think for Bayer Leverkusen, this is a game that they should win, even if it's away from home, because their style of football is probably more suited to coming back to playing after 2 months than it would be for Werder Bremen.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. By the way, go over to YouTube. My guests on Extra Time today, Julien and Stevie Nicol. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.